Live na.
Go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Qrown Conversations. My name is Alexa Villano. As you know, Binibining Pilipinas resumed its activities with the photo exhibit held at the Gateway Mall last January 22 and has now moved to the Alley Mall where you can view until February 14. Now, we're in a pandemic, and this year's edition of Binibining Pilipinas is actually very different because, for one, the Miss International crown is now the highest crown. But what is the organization really looking for now that, we have six crowns? So, what are we in store for? We're delighted tonight, and we're actually honored to have with us the marketing and licensing director of the Miss International pageant, our very own Filipino and kababayan, Mr. Stephen Diaz. Hello, Stephen Conbanwa.
Kumawa. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Hello, thank you so much for inviting me.
So, Stephen, before we, everybody's actually very interested to know more about, what's in store for MI. But let's do a little backtrack for now. Everybody knows that you're actually involved with the organization for quite some time now. But before getting involved with MI, what led you to be part of beauty pageants, of Philippine pageants in particular, when you were still here in Manila?
Oh, before that, actually, no, I'm not from Manila.
Oh, well, in the Philippines rather. I believe correct me if I'm wrong, in Negros?
I'm from Negros
Yeah,
Occidental.
Negros, yeah. So, buti na lang that research did me a little bit help because if I'm not mistaken nga, I read that you're from Negros. So,
Mhm.
what got you interested in pageantry back then?
It's a very long story. I think a lot of Filipinos in my generation. I believe that I am from the same generation as Jonas Gafud. 1979 ako pinanganak eh. So a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 12, I hosted my first pageant in elementary, the Miss United Nations, and I'm pretty sure that you guys have probably had a dose of Miss United Nations in your life back in your school days. So that's how it's really started. I started as a host in almost every beauty pageant in my schools,
All right.
elementary, high school, and then college, and then eventually um, kaya nga, yung whole family ko basically were into pageantry. My mom and my dad would bet on who's gonna win Binibining Pilipinas. And it's really funny because my father is always right when he chooses his winner. Palagi niya natatalo yung mother ko. So I find it
Mm.
really interesting kasi kung minsan, marami nang alam gossip si Papa regarding sa kung sino man nanalo ng Binibining Pilipinas kasi nakikinig siya sa Bombo Radio, which is like
Okay.
the main radio station in Negros and Iloilo, for example. Alam niya naman nanalo si Anjanette Abayari, alam niya mananalo si Dindi Gallardo, kahit na even though the rest of the world, the rest of the Philippines probably were expecting Rufa to win, alam na ng tatay ko na si Dindi mananalo. And then nagugulat ako palagi na bakit alam mo yung mga nananalo ng pageant na to. Kaya me as a young I'm the eldest of six. As a young boy at that time, I had no issues regarding waking up so late when watching Binibining Pilipinas or watching Miss USA or Miss Universe on TV
Mm-hmm.
with my parents and the rest of the family. Kaya it came out naturally to me para to embrace and to enjoy pageantry as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And with the introduction of internet, which made it a lot easier for us to get connected with the pageant world, kaya yun, I started with the Mabuhay Beauties, which was a long time ago, mga 20 years ago na yata yun eh. So when I moved here in Japan, yun, ang mga iba't ibang forums like Mabuhay Beauties, yung kay Pawi, yung Pawi's Beauties Kiss and Tell,
Yes.
which eventually became Missology. And what else? Yung OPMB, yan,
Mm-hmm.
mga members ako yan ng mga blog, ano na yan, before. Sometimes I would use my real name or I would use a different name. Kaya it was it just came out naturally. So walang super magical story na because I like some friends that I met nang dahil na kay Venus Raj or because of blah blah blah. Kaya
Mm.
it led them to beauty pageant. Sa akin kasi, dati pa, parang beauty pageant has always been a part of provincial life. I don't know about Manila, but sa
Mm.
amin, sa Negros Occidental, maraming beauty pageants dun eh.
Mm.
From school level, barangay level,
Uh,
city
actually,
level.
yeah, actually, you mentioned that now, Stephen, because actually, I've noticed that a lot of the provinces have their own, special their pageants in barangays or
Mm.
even in the cities, no. So for you, as because came from the province, how did you see it playing a vital role in the Philippine pageant scene? Because sabi mo nga, I mean, we all know that every province will likely have their own their own pageant naman talaga.
Yeah, that's true. Pero syempre, may mga major pageants sa probinsya. Like for example, in Bacolod City where I was born,
Yeah.
meron kami Mascara Queen. Meron din
Mm.
kami Linaisang Negros, which
Mm.
is the Negros Occidental beauty pageant wherein every queens of every municipality and city, sila nagko-compete for the title of Linaisang Negros. And during those times, nung nagsisimula pa lang yung Linaisang Negros, it just so happened na marami akong mga classmates or batchmate na sumasali representing certain towns. Kaya involved ka emotionally. Kasi kaklase mo eh, or di kaya kaibigan mo sumasali doon. Kaya nanonood ka, nag-cheer ka. But when I was hosting pageants in Negros, I was hosting only usually mga school lang, yung sa
Mm.
Lasal, from where I'm from. And yun, mga sports fest, ganyan-ganyan, mga binibini ng lahi, mga Miss College of Business and Miss JPA, Miss CBA, yung mga college pageants ng school namin. So from hosting until naging organizer na rin because of student government. So it just came out, it just evolved naturally. And then I came to Japan na it's very different from the Philippines kasi wala namang ganong grassroots level na pageant scene or public or what do you say or institution dito eh when it comes to beauty pageants parang wala eh when at least when I arrived here wala akong may na feel.
Uh, okay, now that you mentioned life in Japan, because
Mm.
you said a while ago before we went live, you're about to enter your 21st year there in Japan. So why go to Japan? What made you go to Japan actually?
Um, when I was uh, when I was 19 years old, there was a scholarship grant um, na that was advertised in Lasal, Bacolod. And it so happened that my cousin saw the poster and then she told me to apply for it. And then to make the long story short, I took the examination. I went to Cebu. I took the exam. I had the interview. And it was a very long process because nag-start yun April. The application process was April. The examination was July. And the interview also was in July, same day. And then I got the letter around January, February na that I actually passed the scholarship grant. So there were like hundreds of us who took the examination from Manila, Cebu, and Davao, and 7 of us actually passed the examination.
Wow.
So during that time, I had, I was, so 19, diba? So I was already 20 years old when I finally had to leave the Philippines to pursue a whole different language and to study hiragana and katakana and kanji and then went
Yeah.
into university for a total of 5 years yung scholarship program ko because 1 year of intensive Japanese language course and then 4 years of um, university degree, university proper, kasi kaklase ko mga yung mga regular Japanese students lang. So I didn't go into an international program or an exchange
Mhm.
program.
Yeah.
I was basically treated like a regular college student sa university na napasukan ko.
Okay. All right then. Now, well, as you know, life in Japan, obviously we know, is very, very different from the Philippines. We're in Manila, where we currently are. Um, how did you get involved with with Miss International, because we all know that you were contributing for Mississology, which you are still doing up to now, because you do pitch hosting also for your own show. Pero how did you get into MI? Tell us the
Um,
story.
my very first coverage, which was for, actually it was for Powys Beauty's Kiss and Tell in 2003, was Miss International in 2003, yung kay Jezeri Javier. It's really funny because I was with two other Filipino scholars. Both of them were on master's degree, mga UP professors actually. No, one is from UP, who is a professor. The other one is from TVOX. And they went to the same university that I actually went to. But I was an undergrad. Hindi ako katulad nila na research master's degree scholars. So tatlo kami, we went into Odaiba, which is an artificial island in off the coast of Tokyo Bay. Pumunta kami doon just to, hang out lang. Parang wala, just we need to, typical Filipino barkada na parang wala kami magagawa sa university during that particular Sunday. And it just so happened na nandun yung mga Miss International contestants na nagbibigay ng seedlings for the tree planting activity. So that was 2003. And tinanong ko si Miss Finland during that time, sabi ko, kailan yung pageant nyo? Kasi even though the Miss International was held in Japan or in Tokyo, hindi ganun ka bongga yung yung kanilang marketing, or hindi siya ganun ka hindi namin alam na nag-exist nga sila eh. So just so happened nandun ako, and then tinanong ko si Miss Finland where the pageant would be held, and then when the pageant would be held, and then she gave me all the information. And to make the long story short, pumunta ako dun sa final night at nanood ako, and then nasasayangan ako sa materials na meron ako, because I had photos, I saw the pageant live and all that. Although hindi nakapasok si Jezari sa top 12, I think, or top 15, pero at least meron ako materials. And so I contacted Pawi kung pwede ko ma-contribute yung yung coverage ko. And then nag-okay naman si Pawi. And during that time, hindi ako marunong magsulat ng pageant, ng pageant article. Pero magaling talaga si Pawi eh. So yun, that started my involvement with Mississology in 2003 hanggang naging 2005 nung nanalo na sa Precious Lara Kigaman, and then 2007, and then bumalik ulit nung 2012 nung bumalik na uli dito sa Japan yung Miss International Beauty Pageant. So because of Mississology, puro ako Miss International. Yeah. And then nung 2017, nung time ni Kevin, nung nanalo si Kevin from Indonesia, doon na ako nakita ng boss namin, which Akemi Shimomura, who is the owner of Miss Pari and WASPA, my background. Doon niya na ako nakita, and then she said that she mentioned during our intimate dinner together, kasi pinatawag niya ako one time and asked me like if I am willing to work with them. And during that time, I was already working. I was working as an elementary school teacher in Japan, which I have been working for the past 13 years during that time, from 2005 to 2018. It was difficult for me to quit my job, syempre. Like, my job was already stable in itself. And I got the chance to travel all over the world kasi may summer vacation, may winter vacation and all that. And then I didn't want to quit. So we had an intimate dinner, and she explained to me that she really needed something different, like a new wind, like a new bagong hangin para sa organization. Kasi parang nakikita niya na stagnant eh, na parang walang man may nangyayari sa pageant niya, which she inherited in 2013. So yun, nag-usap-usap kami, and then I told her to give me some time, and then she told me that pwede ako mag-start April. But I said that I really need time to think about it. But I will accept your offer if you allow me to start working on September that same year. So talagang nag-no pa talaga ako. So I didn't just simply grab it or something na parang, desperate or what. Talaga ako. Sabi ko, I need some time to mag-quit ako ng job ko in March. So from April up to August, wala akong job. So I went back to the Philippines basically for a short time, for a short while. But I knew back then na kahit na wala akong job, I would still get an unemployment insurance. So I would still get some money. So hindi ako ganun ka-worried during that time. And yeah, so inaccept naman niya, yeah, okay, you can start around September.
Mhm. Yeah, when you think about it, Stephen, no, the pageant enthusiasts, if they're offered that kind of position, they wouldn't actually think twice about grabbing it. But ikaw, you thought about it very hard because
Hmm.
obviously it was also a transition on your part then eh. Parang from preschool, from being a teacher, then biglang marketing director. Teka muna, ano,
Mhm.
parang that must have taken you aback because it's also required you na kaya ko ba 'to gawin?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And it's a big organization. It's like a very reputable, like Miss Parry and WASPA.
Mhm.
Actually, I am directly employed by Miss Parry. And
Okay.
part lang yung Miss International ng Miss Parry, which is the International Cultural Association. So may
Ah,
yung ano ko talaga, yung in other words, my registration sa tax office is I am officially an employee of Miss Parry.
I see, I
So
see.
kahit na mawala yung Miss International from sa ere, Miss Parry employee pa rin ako.
Okay. I
That's what
see.
my contract says. So
Mm. Now, of course, now that you're part of the MI organization, we want to know kasi, what is your job? I mean, obviously we know two things. You're now doing hosting, you're talking to the girls, to the representatives who are recently been crowned. And of course it also involves promotions for the organization. So what is your job really like now, aside from what we've mentioned?
okay, so I will not mention my other involvement with the Miss Parry group kasi I have other jobs rin kasi which
Yeah,
is not related to pageantry eh.
yeah, go.
So when it comes to Miss International only, my
Yeah,
job is number one, which is the most visible, I think, is yung social media namin. I mean,
yeah.
like, I hope you have noticed how busy our social media
It's
has been in the past, in the past 2 years or three
yeah.
years since
It's been
I
very busy actually. Every day halos meron ng mga updates. I think that's a very something that people did not expect
yeah
from the
for a
organization.
while both our Instagram and our Facebook account became I forgot the term, yung may blue check,
Yeah,
verified account.
very verified, yeah.
Yun, mga pinaghirapan ko yan, it took me how many attempts to actually get the verification kasi in order to be verified you need to submit certain papers, di ba, and all
Yeah.
of the documents were in Japanese. So kailangan convert it to English. Parang ang hirap-hirap nun. And then eventually, when we got the blue mark, I felt it was an achievement in itself. So that's primarily number one, the most visible of all the things that I do. Yung YouTube channel was actually, they told me to do that nung 2019 pa, after Bint won.
Yeah.
But I was not willing to do it because sabi ko, like I will be in, my face will be there. Magiging public figure ako and I didn't want, probably some people would think na parang mahilig ako sa limelight, ganyan ganyan, but it's not really, because I have family, may pamilya ako sa Pilipinas who probably don't want to be involved with, things like, I know kasi mga bashing sa pageantry and all that,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to be involved in it. So 2019 pa yan pinag-isipan. And then I only said yes last year, September, which was our first edition, yung kay Miss USA. Nag-oo ako simply because of the pandemic, actually. Nung
Yeah.
2019, wala pang pandemic eh.
Yeah.
So because of the pandemic, I thought, yeah, okay, I had no choice. I have to do something para may magagawa, so that we have something to do kahit na nasa pandemic kami, and we
Mm-hmm.
could actually promote the girls who are expected to join the pageant. So okay ako with the Miss International thing. Although involved naman ako sa Missology prior
Yeah.
to that. Pero kasi this time, ako na talaga yung nag-handle eh. Ang sa
Yeah.
Missology kasi, si Drew talaga tsaka si Amir. Ako kasi talagang kumbaga, ano lang ako doon, parang panggulo.
Well, quite
Panggulo
I
lang ako
see.
sa Missology kasi I have meron ako mga inside information na nalalaman, especially kung Miss International yung guest ng
Yeah.
Missology. may mga inside information ako na gusto ko lang i-share sa public. Pero when it comes to Miss International kasi, ako na talaga nag-handle. So I didn't want that huge responsibility. Kaya yun, nag-YouTube channel na rin kami. And the licensing part is, actually dalawa kami dyan. One is Japanese and another, and me. Yung sa mga new countries na sumasali sa amin, sa pageant namin, ako na yung involved doon. For example, if you suddenly nakita mo na merong Miss Uganda, merong Miss Madagascar, ako na yung involved doon. Kasi ako yung naghahanap ng mga new countries. Pero yung mga traditional countries, mga mga usual like Philippines, Venezuela, yun na yung Japanese na staff namin. Siya na yung in charge. Doon naman sa licensing.
All right. Okay. You mentioned about the pandemic. Actually, 2020 would have been a perfect time for MI because number one, you are supposed to be celebrating your 60th anniversary. So this is very big. Obviously, from a historical point of view, we all know that the chairperson of Binibining Pilipinas herself, Stella Araneta, is the first title holder of the organization. So it was just right that, the first Miss International title holder, and then of course MI would be celebrating. But then, boom, Corona came in. So now you mentioned about the Instagram lives and the chats, but what were the other things that challenge the organization? Because obviously we all thought that the pandemic wasn't going to last, but lo and behold, we're actually celebrating the first year next month, to be exact. Well, here in the Philippines in particular. So how did you guys went through this? Because aside from MI, the Olympics was also suddenly moved. Yeah. So
well, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but it also came as a blessing in disguise. Kasi the Miss Parry Group is planning to open a university in Yokohama. Just starting last year. We were going through that very busy time and process of applying for the university, and I'm involved with that one as well. So, and ako personally, when it was finally decided na i-move siya the next year, I felt relieved actually kasi sabi ko, busy ako for the university opening and all that. Kaya sabi ko, hey, salamat, at least kahit paano makakagising, I could breathe easily kasi kapag nag-timing dalawang to, talagang bugbog sarado ako when it comes to business. Kaya ako personally medyo relieved ako nung nag-decide na yung board na i-postpone. And at the same time, marami kasing issues How are you gonna do it? Like with the pandemic and all that. And then may trabaho pa ako with the university, opening of the university. So it would have been a disaster kung nagsabay-sabay lahat. Kaya kung ako tatanungin mo, swerte ako.
But given if weren't for the pandemic, what could we have expected? What could have we expected from last year's celebration? Because although I know that you are all extremely going to be busy in preparing, because you mentioned in an interview that the pageant will push through hopefully in November. So what were the ideas initially that you could share that probably will be considered for this year?
Yes, thanks for asking. Kasi kung walang pandemic, around January pa lang of 2020, gumagawa na ako ng database ng lahat ng mga winners ng Miss International from 1961. Kasi we were planning to invite them. Yung makakapunta lang and those who are still alive. So yun, sana i-invite namin ang mga past winners ng Miss International for the 60th anniversary. And then suddenly, I was about to to make emails or di kaya from Instagram kasi yung mga recent winners kasi pwede mo na lang silang i-contact through Instagram Pero yung mga old winners, mga 1960s and 70s, ang hirap. So I was already researching on them. Actually, halos natapos ko na mga 60%. And then suddenly, sinabi na okay, just wait a minute. Stop muna tayo diyan kasi mukhang hindi natin itutuloy yung Miss International this year. And then na-decide na yun mga May pa lang, pero we were able to announce it June 1st, 2020. Kaya yun sana yung plano eh. It would have been a really emotional 60-year anniversary ng Miss International kasi nandun yung mga past winners. Pero, hindi natuloy.
Wow. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a breather and we're actually going to put someone in to ask you a couple of questions. I'm bringing in Christian, one of our colleagues in the Qrown, also to ask you a couple of questions about what is in store for MI this year. Christian.
Hi, Stephen. How are
I,
you? And again, thank you for granting us this interview. Earlier you're already talking about how you got to MI. So siguro right now, since it's almost the MI season, everyone here in the Philippines would want to know how is the organization doing ba in Japan. Being the legit insider. So ano, affected din ba kayo na meron bang reduced staffing or all of your meetings also starting to be held virtually? How is MI doing right now?
right now, when it comes to meeting, actually, ngayon, mostly remote yung aking duties. I'm working from home almost 4 times a week. Once a week, nasa Ginza office ako ng Miss International. And usually, tinatiming namin mga staff ng ICA na nandun kami lahat so that we could actually talk about the upcoming pageants. Yung last meeting namin was last January actually. So February, hindi pa kami nakapag-meeting this month and hopefully magkakaroon kami ng meeting next month, March. So, may mga preparations na talaga na nagaganap. And actually, one of those developments that we have actually talked about last January was to make this time, siguro because of the pandemic, finally they realized that they really needed to make the pageant more globally appealing. Kaya kailangan na talaga mag-English, not the usual Japanese. And right now, another one thing na dagdag sa trabaho ko actually is to look for broadcasters in different countries to broadcast our pageant. Kasi hindi yun naging priority ng Miss International for a long time. Actually, walang broadcaster sa Pilipinas ng Miss International. Kaya simply because hindi naman kasi talagang pinag-iisipan ng Miss International yung show. Kaya walang effort to look for a legitimate TV station to broadcast our pageant. But this time, we're planning to do that. Kaya kailangan talaga medyo okay yung show. It has to be more entertaining and then more people should understand it. Kaya dapat naka-English siya and should be shorter. Naman kung gaano ka magla-lunch ka habang nagsisimula pagkatapos matatapos nagdi-dinner ka na.
That's right. Okay. And then siguro I'll just shift to a different topic. But I have to ask this Stephen, kasi a lot of pageant fans cannot let go of the age requirement question or issue, especially hindi naman siguro to sa MI lang nangyayari, but kasi for example in the Philippines there are a lot of bets na parang syempre a year older and then hindi na sila magka-qualify for the MI requirement. What's the reason behind the age requirement from MI's perspective? Is it aligned with the capacity to fulfill the requirements? The age limit is 28 now.
At 28 siya based on the contract ng 2020 pageant. Kung natuloy sana. 18 to 28.
Yeah, so just to also help others parang understand it more about the age requirement. What's MI stand on sticking with the age requirement? Kasi the others are saying na baka pandemic naman, hindi ba pwedeng i-exempt mo na this year and we let the other bets to, still continue and push through with MIs?
Well, if you ask my personal opinion, ako okay ako dyan. And then also, it's same sentiment being shared by a couple of our staff sa ICA. Ang problema kasi dyan, the thing is, I'm pretty sure people don't know about it kasi mga inside stories to. Miss International actually should have been 18 to 26 lang talaga. Dapat 26 talaga yung age limit ng Miss International. Ginawa yung 27 nung 2018. I think, yeah. Naging 27 yan nung 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Nung pagpasok ko. Kasi, during that time, ano ba yung story ng 27 na yan? During that time kasi, may mga countries na, may mga winners na 27 during that time. I think that included Miss Poland, yung heavy favorite. So, naging 27 siya, which shouldn't have happened actually. Yung 27 years old na yan. Pero tinanggap na lang. Kasi may mga other issues pa kasi sa company namin eh. So and it's not just Miss International. Maybe for the Filipinos, for us kasi medyo talaga invested tayo with beauty pageant. It's a different story. Pero parang okay, sige. Like let's ano bang Tagalog? Pasugtan. Bale, okay, let's just accept 27. Parang gumano na lang eh yung board na okay, tanggapin na lang natin yung 27. Okay. Kaya na-approve yung 27 years old in 2018. And then nung 2019 naging 28. The primary reason for that one was because nung naging part na ako ng Miss International, kaya ko na lang nalaman to nung naging part na ako ng Miss International. Nalaman ko na there are certain countries which do not announce their Miss International winner simply because of the age. Okay, let me tell you how it is. For example, Ecuador. They don't want to announce Miss International Ecuador on stage kasi what if kasi yung kanilang tradition is runner up, third runner up, fifth runner up, fourth runner up, third runner up, second runner up, first runner up, and Miss Ecuador. Ganon yung kanilang tradition. Let's say yung first runner up is not qualified age-wise. So hindi nila ma-announce na Miss International Ecuador siya. Kaya hindi ina-announce yung Miss International Ecuador sa stage. Same with Mexico. Hindi rin nila ina-announce yung Miss International Mexico kasi gusto nila yung first runner-up and the winner should be there on stage. Dalawa talaga sila. But kung first runner-up ka, automatically Miss International ka dapat. Nahihirapan sila doon kasi what if yung first runner-up is 27 years old? So hindi nila ma-declare na Miss International Ecuador. Hindi nila ma-declare na Miss International Mexico. Now, because naging 28 years old na yung age namin, so wala na silang takot, by the way, to announce who's going to be the... Kasi pareho na yung age limit ng universe saka international eh. Diba? Naging 28 na. So anyone who is second place can become Miss International automatically. Kaya tingnan mo, when Mariem went to Ecuador in 2019, di ba? Pwede na they were able to announce na the international.
Yeah.
Same with si Yuridia Duran, yung Miss Mexico. Yan, na-announce na rin siya sa stage. So finally, nare-recognize na yung Miss International winner on stage, which never happened before. Kasi hindi na natatakot yung organization to announce them on stage na, it's a TV show. So kailangan mo pang, 26 na ba to? 27? International siya? First runner-up ba siya or what? In-explain sa akin yan ng National Director ng Ecuador at in-explain din sa akin yan ni Lupita Jones. Kasi tinanong ko si Lupita Lupita, why don't you announce Miss International winner on stage? Because of this, of the age limit. What if yung first runner-up namin is not qualified? Kasi ang layo ng gap. Imagine 28 sa Miss Universe, 26 sa amin.
Correct.
Kaya naging 27 yun. And then naging 28 na rin eventually. Ngayon na naging 28 na. So may freedom na yung mga organization to actually announce. And who would have thought naman kasi na mawawala sa Binibining Pilipinas yung Miss Universe, di ba? During that time when we made that decision, nasa Binibining Pilipinas pa yung Miss Universe. Di ba?
So siguro naman this is the the extension or the changing the requirements would be only up to 28. Hanggang ganun na lang ba ang
hanggang ganun na lang. Kumbaga na overstretch na nga yan eh. Ayaw nga mapumayag ng 27 nun eh.
What's with the age ba? From your perspective, do you think it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good question actually. Very good question. What's with the age, di ba? Kasi it's cultural. Okay? Like for example, here in Japan, kapag sinabi mo lang 29, iba eh. Iba talaga. I mean like we don't want to give girls the false hopes. 'Di ba? Kasi kapag nakikita yan ng judge, 29 na to. You cannot actually justify everyone. At yung 29 years old, but she looks young, ganyan. Like, so in other words, it's a privilege given to 29 years old na kailangan mo siyang i-justify. Kasi nga dito sa Japan, once you reach a certain age, and then I have to explain this, I have to connect this with what Mr. International is all about. Because Mr. International is not a career. It's not a career path. A lot of people think that being a beauty queen or a winner is a career path. Miss Universe probably it is because it is a full-time job. Miss International is not. You know, every girl who comes to the pageant, they are considered as ambassadors of goodwill, of peace, and lahat sila winners. May winner kami pero hindi siya fully employed. So what is going to happen is that the girl will eventually go back to her respective country and do whatever she does. If she's a student, she studies, ganyan, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a certain phase. So as much as possible, kaya nga kailangan, the younger you are, the better. Kasi nakikita yan sa profile na, okay, kung mananalo to, okay, at least, makakabalik siya sa society, as a productive young individual. Ito si Jante to, okay, pwede pa. Yeah, it just so happen na for example, si Bint, who is a winner, is a pharmacist herself. So although she was already 25 years old, kahit na siya yung pinakamatandang winner namin so far, okay lang. Pasok sa banga. Kasi nga, tinitingnan nila yun eh. Pagkatapos, and then you have a certain contestant there, let's say 28 or 29, kung minsan yung mga judges, wala na eh. Parang, ay, bakit nandito pa to? Di ba dapat nagtatrabaho na to or something? Di ba dapat may baka siguro may pamilya na to or what? So may mga judges talaga na ganun ka-conservative mag-isip. And if you give girls the false hopes na, okay, baka mananalo ka at that age or 28 or 29, unfair din.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen, for sharing that with us. So I guess it's really about representation. And kasi totoo naman din na there's an individual set of goals when you reach a certain age. So that's something that's being considered then by the organizations and with all of these requirements. So thank you for sharing us your thoughts on this.
And I think it's a cultural thing talaga. Kasi ganyan sa kultura nila dito eh. May talaga, may certain stereotype na oy, 29 ka na, nagpa-pageant ka pa, parang ganyan. Parang yan. Parang, like, hindi mo naman pwedeng i-defend lahat ng mga 29 years old na nasasali sa pageant mo na, ay, ganito kasi nangyari sa buhay niya. Hindi naman eh. Like, it's not all about a certain, a certain representative. Mag-iisip talaga sila ng ganyan.
I agree. So, siguro, now on a different topic as well, Stephen, how strong is your relationship with DPCI? Kasi I think yung Miss Universe has now has a different separate organization in the Philippines now. With Miss International, how is your relationship with VPCI considering the others are granting other organizations yung license? how is Miss International BPCI?
I think the respect is always there with BPCI. Kasi ano to eh, kumbaga, it's an institution na talaga sa Pilipinas eh.
Mm-mm.
So there are people and there are organizations who are trying to get the license away from BPCI, but ICA stays with BPCI. Yeah.
Right. So there. Thank you, Stephen. Ngayon, about the Miss International winner for this year, what are you guys looking for an MI winner this pandemic?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Uh,
I wish I could read the judge's mind kasi like I've been covering this pageant for so many times before I became a staff, right? And kahit na nga nandito yung, kahit nga, for example, people probably think na taga-misosology ako, dahil nagbibigay ako ng hint sa mga taga-misosology when it comes to doing topics. Bakit hindi lang na-guess si Thailand naman? Wala nga sa top 5. Si Mariem nga, wala rin sa top 5 nila. So, wala kasi talagang depende yan sa mood ng mga judges during that time. Like let's say for example noong 2018, who would have thought na gagamitin pala ni Mariam yung kanyang birthday sa kanyang speech? Syempre natumbok talaga niya yung puso ng mga judges. Wise na yung babaeng yun eh. Matalino kasi. Kaya alam niya kung kailan gagamitin yung birthday niya. So although she was really wonderful all throughout, pero syempre timing yan eh. Nasa timing, nasa overall atmosphere ng gabing yun, nasa feeling ng mga judges, or di kaya dahil sa pagod na rin ng mga judges. Okay, ito na lang. Venezuela at Philippines pa rin nila ipapanalunin natin. Ganun yan. Factors yan. Ang daming factors na kailangan mo i-consider. But one thing for sure, hindi minamanipulate ng Miss International yung result. In order to please sponsors, in order to please the social media community. Like when Bint won, she only had like 3,000 followers. Compare mo yun kay Miss Mexico with 500,000 na during that time. Bakit nanalo si Bint? Kasi wala namang pakialam yung mga judges kung ilan yung followers ng mga contestant. Hindi nila alam. They have no idea. Si Miss Uganda wala rin. Konti lang yung followers niya. Dumami na lang yun kasi nanalo na eh. But before that, wala. Kasi wala talaga. Walang alam ang mga judges regarding Instagram followers, regarding Facebook, gaano kalakas sila sa social media, kung sino mga hot picks ng mga different blogs, ng misosology, wala silang alam.
Sima, what awaits the pandemic winner? Will she be based in Japan or will she have a bit more limited activities for the time being?
For the winner?
Mm-mm.
Okay, winner will definitely go back to her country pa rin. Just like every winners that we have, like even Kylie, balik talaga sa bansa nila. So walang housing na mangyayari in Japan because our principle is if you are going to pull out the girl from their country for 1 year, how will she be able to go back to society? Like the only way is to become a showbiz personality, and that's not what Miss International is looking for. We want the girl to go back, be a productive part of the society. Like if you're a student, then continue with your studies. If you're a pharmacist, then continue being a pharmacist. If you want to do modeling sideline kasi meron ka ng title, of course you can still do that. Pero ang importante kasi makakabalik ka sa society. Mahirap kasi kung 1 year mawawala ka sa bansa mo, paano ka makakabalik? Tingnan mo si Rio Mori, nahirapan bumalik ng Japan after 1 year being in New York.
That's very insightful.
Wala siyang career. Si Clara, meron pang career.
That's very insightful, Stephen. Kasi totoo naman din. Kasi as a pageant winner and you're saying that you're an ambassadress of goodwill, you really have to immerse yourself back to the community, and life doesn't. I mean, your beauty pageant life doesn't end, or it's not boxed within the pageant. So it really has to be applied in practical life. So it's very insightful. Thank you, Stephen. Again, thank you for granting us this interview. I will have to turn you back to Alexa.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, Christian. And well, that was definitely a very interesting conversation that you both had. Um, Stephen, jumping into what you and Christian have tackled earlier, let's get to the part where everyone is actually waiting for. As we all know, the Miss International title is the highest in this year's rank of crowns in Binibining Pilipinas. As a marketing director, or as a representative rather of the organization, what was the reaction of the organization when they found out that, after so long, tayo na yung tayo na yung pinaka corona sa BBP.
No, actually, I was the one who had to report it to our boss, and explain to her the whole the scenario, the overall mechanics. Kasi syempre hindi rin nila alam yan eh. Hindi nila gets yan kasi our business is our spa.
Yeah.
And the Miss Spa, yun ang business namin.
Yeah.
So hindi nila gets yun unless someone tells them. So I told actually our boss, she was very delighted actually, she was very happy. And then may mga colleagues ako, yung mga kasamahan ko sa lunch na in-explain ko rin sa kanila na okay, ganito na pala yung sa Philippines ngayon. So the number one title is Miss International na. So they were very happy rin. And then yun nga lang, they haven't really seen the pageant kasi on TV. Hindi nila alam kung ano nangyayari. Hindi nila alam na in just one pageant, marami palang winners.
Yeah.
May nakakaalam niyan na colleague ko kasi nakapunta na ng Binibining Pilipinas yung gold.
Yeah, 2013.
Nanalo si Bea. One of our staff actually went there at nanood ng Binibining Pilipinas. So alam na niya yung merong universe, ganyan, may international. Tsaka alam niya na parang minor lang yung international. During that time
Yeah.
But now, at least alam na niya na since nawala na yung Miss Universe sa Binibining Pilipinas and naging number 1 na ngayon ng Miss International, yeah, of course, happy naman, syempre. Actually, it's not only Binibining Pilipinas Colombia.
Yeah.
Eventually, kasi nawala na rin sa Señorita Colombia yung yung Miss Universe So, wala. Medyo pasimple lang yung Miss International ngayon. Pero napupunta sa amin yung mga major organizations.
Yeah. Well, now that you mention it, kasi let's jump into this. This is an opportunity for you to clarify, debunk. When we say kasi Miss International here, Miss International Philippines to be exact, the prototype or the look that supposedly that the Japanese love is this type of face, very delicate, as seen in our past winners. We're referring to the likes of Lara, Bea, and Kylie. Obviously, maybe before the likes of Aurora P1 and Melanie Marquez, it was different, and Gemma Cruz. They were all different. But does the MI really have a prototype? That's number one. And number two, coming from Christian's question a while ago, what is MI looking now in the new year, in the new decade? We actually last year pa dapat because it's a new decade 2020. But what are you now looking for? What is the organization looking for this time?
Okay, the organization has no prototype actually. Sorry to to disappoint you guys. The reason why mawawala na yung sinasabing prototype kasi we have already signed a contract with Kevin Liliana as the eternal model of Miss Paris. So we'll be using her image for as long as we want to. Kasi we already paid her and did the contract. Kaya in other words, whoever wins as Miss International, hindi na siya magiging image model ng Miss Paris. Unlike before, for example, si Kylie, meron siyang, di ba, sexy na na billboard photo na parang cover lang siya ng
that one
ballot or something. Kasi kung winner ka ng Miss International, mailalagay ka sa sa billboard namin. In several locations in Japan. Ngayon wala na. So Kevin na yung last. So hindi na nag-work yung tinatawag na prototype na yan. So, as a matter of fact, ano yun eh, botohan kasi ang Miss International eh. Hindi siya scoring system. So hindi mo talaga masasabotage yung chance ng isang contestant kasi voting siya. So the judges will just simply vote on who is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 among the top 8. Ira-rank lang nila yan kung sinong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So kung pasok ka, kung number 1 ka, o yan, 50 points. Ganyan. Kung number 2 ka, 35 points. Ganyan ang sistema dyan. So kung sinong nakakuha ng pinakamaraming points dyan or nakapasok sa top 5 based on their rank, sila na yung mananalo. Kung merong tie, si boxing na mag-break.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And that gives actually not for our viewers out there. It's actually Stephen is giving you some insights already. So there really is no prototype. And number 2, he's also giving you an insight on how the system goes because normally organizations are not really saying these types out loud for the public to know, but with so many questions and with the pageant with the industry evolving in the past years, and daming kesyo, and daming questions. So Stephen is giving a little bit of insight, and then we're very happy that he's giving us this opportunity also to explain for you to understand what goes behind the process of being a Miss International winner. Now, Stephen, as we all know, in the past few years, pageantry has evolved, and so has MI. MI has truly evolved from kung dati sinasabi may prototype, ngayon wala nang prototype. What, as a marketing director, as somebody who's in the organization, what are you looking forward to in pushing the brand further out to the whole world now?
Well, actually, may joke sa amin dito sa office namin kuminsan. Joke namin yan na sana magkaroon na rin ng winner from Africa. Gumaganon kami kuminsan. Kasi walang winner from Africa all these years, di ba? Kaya sabi namin, oy naku, kung merong Africa na second runner-up na naman yan. Gumaganon kami. Like, it's a joke. Pero kasi wala kaming power to manipulate the results nga eh. Kaming mga staff. Mga judges lang talaga ang pumipili ng kanilang winner. So, isa yan sa mga let's say challenges namin na ma-break eventually. Pero hindi namin gagawin yun on purpose na just for the sake of being politically correct or just for the sake of making people happy kasi wala pa kaming African winner. So by hook or by crook, papanalunin namin yung Africa. Hindi yun mangyayari. So hopefully sana may lalabas dyan na magdadala talaga ng corona para sa African continent kasi wala pa silang winner, di ba? Pero kung wala talaga, wala. Kung Venezuela ulit yan. Nako, walang pakialam mga judges diyan. Kung Philippines ulit yan, baka wala silang pakialam. I'm telling you, they don't care. Kasi kung sino yung sa scoring sheet, kung sino talaga nag-perform best during that final night, sila talagang mananalo. Hindi naman kasalanan ng Pilipinas at Venezuela kung talagang well-prepared palagi yung mga contestants kasi alam na ng Pilipinas at Venezuela ang formula eh. Alam na. Like for example, Mariem, she was crowned a year before. Isang taon na preparasyon yan. You cannot fault the girl, right? So, kaya ready siya. Compared mo naman sa mga girls na kinoronahan lang 1 month before or 2 months before. So iba talaga. The mental preparation, lahat. Iba. Kaya kung mananalo ulit ang Venezuela, wag naman nilang like I know a lot of people are, Venezuela again, blah, 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 ganyan. So, but what are we supposed to do? Should we manipulate the result? As in, which is not what Japanese are known for. Japanese are really honorable people. Kaya kung ano yung sa resulta dyan, yun talaga.
I understand. Okay, jumping lang to a little bit now because I know a while ago nasabi mo nga you rarely actually get a lot of news on Philippine pageantry, but I'm sure you've seen some of the photos of the candidates of Binibining Pilipinas for this year. What are your impressions of the candidates that you've seen? I'm not going to ask kung sino ang favorite mo because obviously, ano, keep it to ourselves na lang until April 17 to be exact, when the pageant is held. But what are your impressions of the candidates when you saw the photos that were presented online?
Actually, careful na ako ngayon kasi ayoko na talagang magsabi ng mga paborito ko kasi dati-dati
Oo.
nalabas pa ako, gumagawa pa ako ng mga hot picks ko nga I mean like
Yeah.
last 2019 pa nga international ko na yan si Vicky
Oo. O yan ha, may sinabi na, meron ng sinabi si Stephen, pero but we're asking you from your point of view as a representative, what are your impressions of the candidates this year? Because obviously everybody's gunning for
the international
MI.
Tanya.
Yeah,
No,
but then,
actually, it's funny kasi after nearly a year na, 'di ba, of
yeah.
preparation ng mga girls and all that, yung ibang contestants talagang nag-evolve for the better. Na parang they are now much better compared last year. I have to admit I am following some of the girls na who are contestant kasi finalo nila ako. Finalo ko. So, hindi naman so pinalo ko sila and then kaya nakikita ko yung development ng improvements ng ibang girls. But I am not stalking everyone. So kung minsan tinitingnan ko na lang kung sino yung mga nasa favorites na mga vlogs, na mga iba't ibang websites. And doon mo na rin nakikita yung mga achievements ng mga babae. And then, yeah, this year, medyo madugo yata ang labanan this year Kasi whether we like it or not, isa lang talaga yung major title ngayon Unlike before, at least kahit papano, may prestige pa kahit na hindi mo makukuha yung universe, at least may international pa, may supranational pa, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Ayun, wala na. International na lang talaga
Yeah.
Yeah, medyo madugo yung labanan ngayon. And then I have seen that the girls are really very, very serious. And I hope na tanggalin na nila yung mga yung peking ano ba tawag doon? Yung peking, yung fake representation of themselves just because they wanted to be in the Miss International prototype.
Mm-hmm.
It won't work, like faking yourself, it's not gonna work. Tingnan nyo na lang yung winner namin last year. Peke ba yan? Hindi.
Then again, ladies, if you're watching this show, Steven's actually giving you some hints already of what qualities they're looking for their title holder, for their incoming title holder this year, because obviously an organization will not want to work with a winner who might have what we call an attitude problem, because 1 year kayo magtatrabaho with one another and that's the last thing, na sakit ng ulo pa ang kailangan nila.
That's true. You must be very responsive kasi syempre umuwi ka sa bansa mo So we will be communicating through emails, through social media. So dapat responsible person ka talaga, hindi yung sinisin mode mo lang yung mga requests and all that kasi may mga certain projects na that need your response immediately. And Japan, I'm pretty sure, I think you already have this impression of Japan being so really hating people who are late.
Oh yeah.
And we Filipinos, it's really our weakness.
Oh yeah, I feel you on that.
Actually, I'm very thankful kasi yung mga girls natin dito sa Miss International, palaging sila. I'm pretty sure na train na yan. Sina Patch, sina Atisa, yung mga contestants natin. I'm sure na train na sila, tsaka yung mindset nila is always to be on time and all that. Pero yeah, your girls dapat ngayon pa lang develop the habit of coming 15 minutes before the assigned time. Kasi kung habit mo na yan, it won't be very difficult for you once you are already here.
All right. Before I go to my, I will just jump into one other question before we go to the last question. Because one of the things that during the conversation that interested me, is the power of social media. Kasi sabi mo, obviously in the early years, MI does not care about the number of followers, kung popular sila on the hot picks, etc. But obviously now, as somebody who is a representative and who handles the marketing side of the organization, social media plays now a very powerful tool in the pageant industry. So for you, will it play? How does it play now into the industry?
Well, right now, especially that we have right now in our projects with Jetro, we are asking the girls to actually share certain stuff through their social media accounts. That's because the girl who comes to Miss International is automatically appointed as a we call them the Miss Visit Japan Tourism Ambassador, which means that the Japanese government or the tourism office of Japan, acknowledges the fact that you, the Miss International Philippines, for example, is our Miss Visit Japan Tourism Ambassador. So we expect you to actually promote Japan through your social media. So we find that really very essential when it comes to this aspect. You don't need to be the Miss International winner, or you don't have to be the runner up, or you don't need to have the title or special award to actually work on that role. Yun ang mali kung minsan sa ibang mga contestants, kasi when they go back home tsaka talunan sila, they feel that they are already worthless. But they are not. Actually, so surprise nga kung minsan yung mga girls kasi may mga gifts na pinapadala sa kanila ng mga embassies ng Japan. Si Miss Taiwan, happy ngayon. Oh, nanalo ba si Miss Taiwan? Nag-place ba si Miss Taiwan last year? Wala. Pero super happy siya kasi kahit na hindi siya nanalo, very active siya sa kanyang pagiging Miss Visit Japan in Taiwan.
Oh,
Kaya
yeah.
happy rin yung Japanese embassy sa kanya, happy yung Jetro sa kanya. Kaya yun, marami siyang palaging gifts. Nagugulat na nga lang sila na may mga ganyan silang opportunities. Kasi nga, once you become a Miss International delegate, you come here and then you experience really wonderful things that a normal girl of their age do not experience. And they have to embrace that, and they have to consider that as a blessing. It's not about winning really. It's a cliche, and I know people will say, ay nako, nagpa-pageant pa kayo kung hindi naman about winner, ganyan, blah, blah, blah. Well, Miss International is different. We are really true to our words. That we are here to promote cultural understanding. Three
Yeah.
things come into my mind.
Hello, Kylie, if you're watching. I think that is the most infamous. Well, that's actually of all the speeches. I think Stephen will agree with me that her speech is probably one of the most memorable speeches in the history of the
Tumbok yan,
pageant.
kompleto, lahat. Totoo yun. And it's just
Pageant.
true.
Yeah. So, yun, if again for the ladies who are watching this interview with Stephen, he's giving you some ideas. He's giving you these opportunity to think about when you vie for that crown in your respective countries. And now, the moment of truth. You actually announced that MI is going to be held sometime in November in Japan. We don't know yet because obviously we're still waiting for how this pandemic will really be
Oh,
changing schedules. But what are some of the activities or things that you can share that the ladies are going to be having or going to be enjoying once they land in the country of the rising sun?
yeah, actually, it's right now, considering that, let's say, for example, kung ang situation is still almost the same as now, very limited talaga yung mga exposures nila, okay? But things could really change in the next few weeks or next few months with a vaccine and all that, right? So, what's gonna happen is that since we already have the building, yung university nga na sinasabi ko, di ba, yung sa Miss
Yeah.
Par, we already have the building and we have the facility. I think we'll be having more of our activities to be held there na share namin through our social media or through our YouTube channel. So at least this time, maraming social or maraming web-based interaction na mangyayari. Compared before na pinapabayaan na lang namin yung mga girls na, kayo na lang mag-share dyan, bahala na kayo anong
Yeah.
gagawin. But this time, I think we will be able to do more Kasi meron na kaming facilities, and then we don't need to rent spaces, ganyan. Kasi before, yung sa Tokyo Dome Hotel, we are limited with spaces. Kahit nga yung photoshoot namin with Raymond Saldana, nahirapan kami kasi wala kaming space eh. But this time we now have a huge hall, kaya pwede kaming gumawa ng preliminary evening gown, preliminary national costume, and then preliminary swimsuit staging doon sa hall namin without paying for it because we own the place already. Kaya maraming mga activities this time which are really more pageant prototype na activities na mag-enjoy yung mga fans namin, mga followers namin. And it will be a very different one kasi nga everything will depend on the government regulations. We have to respect the naman kasi yung rules ng government. And we are actually waiting for the Olympics to happen kasi that's what's gonna define what we're gonna do. Kasi mga foreigners papasok rin dito sa amin, di ba, during the Olympics. So how's that gonna work? I hope, ako honestly, I was against the Olympics kasi nga taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's funny because I wish all the success for the Olympics para maging successful rin yung event namin. Parang gano'n na yun. Parang nag-change of ako eh. Parang nag-change of
change of heart.
Change of heart, yes. Thank you. Nag-change of heart ako ngayon. Kaya parang, go Olympics. Parang gano'n ako.
Well, we will find out once the Olympics unveils itself. But there's one extra question. I think people will probably have been asking you this and have been asking the reigning title holder, si Ben. Will she, given a chance, would she be willing to come here to the Philippines and watch the pageant?
Well, it's part of our contract with our national director that if they want to invite the reigning queen, there are certain protocols and then there are certain money involved with that one as well. So it's just between us and the national director. But if they are willing to do that, yeah, why not? And then hopefully she could travel, Yun lang naman problema ang sagabal ngayon eh. If she could freely travel or without the quarantine and all that. Hopefully, yeah, why not, right? Hopefully, nagbimay Pilipinas. Invite Ben.
Well, we never know. We can never tell because until then, obviously, the pandemic is still here and it's not going to go away until the vaccines roll out, both in Japan and here in the Philippines. With that, thank you very much, Stephen, for your time. And I hope our audience was able to pick up a lot of things from you. And I hope that a lot of you now understand how how MI works, because for years you would always say this, bakit ang haba ng pageant na to, ganito ganyan. I hope that with Stephen here giving you some insights, it's actually enlightening you, and let's wait and see who they will welcome on April 17 from the Philippines. Thank you very much, everyone, and good evening.
We're still live.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Qrown.
Okay. Are we still? Oh my God.
Ayaw mo wala ng live.